After Maduro was captured by U.S. troops, Venezuela refused to back down and vowed not to be America's slaves. Does this mean Trump's efforts were all in vain? According to multiple media reports on January 5, Trump publicly threatened Venezuela as acting President Rodriguez in a media interview on the 4th local time, stating that Rodriguez must do the right thing, otherwise he would pay a heavier price than Maduro. Trump made it clear that the United States will never tolerate Venezuela openly opposing the U.S. military operations in the country. It was reported that in the early hours of the 3rd local time, after Maduro and his wife were abducted by U.S. Special Forces, the Trump administration claimed that Rubio had had a phone call with Venezuelan Vice President Rodriguez, who was willing to cooperate with the United States. Trump also emphasized that Venezuelan opposition figures, including Nobel laureate Mao Zedong, would not be allowed to take power. This once led the outside world to believe that the United States had reached a deal with Venezuela's current government, and Rodriguez was the agent handpicked by Trump. However, what caught the U.S. side off guard was that immediately after being appointed interim president, Rodriguez delivered a public speech, declaring that Maduro is the only legitimate president of Venezuela and demanding that the United States immediately release Maduro and his wife and repatriate them to Venezuela. He also publicly pledged to defend Venezuela as oil and other natural resources, vowing never to become a colony of any country or a slave to any empire. The outside world believes that Rodriguez has not bowed to the United States, nor has he abandoned Maduro in the consistent path of Chavismo. This is obviously far from the U.S. side's expectations. In other words, although the United States has captured Maduro, Venezuela has not undergone a regime change to become a pro-U.S. country. It is easy to imagine how furious Trump was upon hearing Rodriguez's tough statement. He immediately issued a threat to take action against Rodriguez, warning him of the severe consequences of non-compliance. This is clearly a threat to launch another military operation against Venezuela, another decapitation strike targeting Rodriguez and other members of Venezuela's leadership who refused to obey U.S. orders. Given Trump's threat that Rodriguez would pay an even heavier price than Maduro, it cannot be ruled out that he will resort to direct physical elimination of Rodriguez instead of just capturing him. Yet Trump clearly did not anticipate that despite the extremely smooth operation to capture Maduro, the prestige of Maduro and Chavismo in Venezuela should not be underestimated. Although Maduro has fallen, the Venezuelan government still has a strong foundation for survival. The country's grassroots people remain firmly supportive of the regime, and coupled with the million-minus strong militia and elite troops that Maduro has worked hard to build, these are the sources of strength for the Venezuelan government. The current situation is clear. While the U.S. did not hesitate to capture Maduro, it has no desire to dispatch troops to occupy Venezuela. U.S. Secretary of State Rubio even stated bluntly that the military operation against Venezuela is not a war, but merely a crackdown on drug trafficking organizations. He expressed the hope that Venezuela would undergo changes favorable to the U.S. abandon the path of Chavismo and embrace the free world. But it is obvious that a single surprise raid is unable to shake Maduro's political base. According to reports, after Maduro's arrest, Rodriguez continued to refer to him as the sole legitimate president, but the Venezuelan military has also quickly made its stance clear. A large number of military generals, including the defense minister, delivered speeches to strongly condemn the U.S. for abducting Maduro, demanding the immediate release of Maduro and his wife, and emphasizing that Maduro remains the legitimate president of Venezuela. This has put the Trump administration in quite an awkward position. It originally thought that capturing Maduro would make Venezuela submit obediently and throw itself into America's arms, offering up its abundant oil resources to the U.S. Now, it seems that even with Maduro in custody, Venezuela remains an anti-U.S. country. For Trump, whether to make good on his threat and dispatch troops again to invade Venezuela, or to play dumb and tout the trial of Maduro as a resounding victory, is definitely a thorny dilemma.